Welcome to Optimal Play. My name is Brandon, and ordinarily on this channel we bring you playthroughs of board and card games at this table, or in-depth looks at the latest expansions to living card games and other expandable tabletop games. But today we got something special. The game Deck of Wonders is a living card game style solo-focused game coming to Kickstarter later this summer, and I have the privilege of interviewing its designer, Dennis Furia, and its extremely talented artist, Lauren Brown, about the game, about its art and world building, and we even get to reveal for the first time to the world a brand new piece of art from the game. So stay tuned, and I'm gonna bring them in. Hi, Lauren and Dennis.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah,
How
I'm
about
doing
yourself?
fantastic.
Well, I got the opportunity to demo Deck of Wonders a few weeks ago with Dennis, and I'm super excited about it. Dennis, would you like to lay out kind of the high level? What is Deck of Wonders?
Yeah, what are we getting ourselves into here?
Yeah.
So, Deck of Wonders is a solo legacy expandable card game. I can't say living card game because that's trademarked, yada yada. But it is you versus the rules. It is designed from the ground up for solo play. And the insight there, I love board games. My wife and I play all the time. I've got probably 3 different gaming groups that I'm in. But I'm also a parent of 2 kids, and I don't have 6 hours, 8 people, and 2 tables worth of space to give a game on any given night. And I was just really craving something that was that strategic experience, but also could fit in over nap time, as it were.
Right.
And that's where the idea for Deck of Wonders came from. I love collectible card games like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, and the depth that's there. And the question I asked myself was, can there be a game that creates that feel, but is you versus the rules? And those games always fit in, a 30-minute ish length anyway. So why not try to bring that into a solitaire format? Like you heard me say, it's also a legacy game. So as you are playing, you are unlocking new cards that come into the game and change the rules as you're playing. And so depending on the cards that you're using and where you are in the game, it could be significantly different. Even the win and loss conditions could be different. So the game really evolves as you play it. And then finally, it's an expandable card game, which has everything you love about CCGs, the opening of new cards, the deck construction and thinking about how things play off of each other. But combined with the other 2 things, I think it makes a really unique package.
Yeah, I think well said. And Lauren, you're a pretty big gamer too, right? I was browsing some of your work on your website, and as a fellow Zelda fan, I love to Lauren.
No, I stand. Yeah, I've been a gamer all my life. I've always loved board games and video games, and I am also a huge Magic the Gathering fan as well. So, green. Whoop, whoop.
Yes, I'm with you there.
Oh yes. So when this opportunity came up, I couldn't refuse it. I was just like, well, I get to do a card game. I get to illustrate a card game. Like, that sounds like so much fun. So it's a huge, it's been a huge foundation in my life. Just like having Magic, having board games, having different experiences that you could, enjoy with other people or yourself. Like, it's just really, it's really cool to be a part of this right now. So, yeah. And it's been really exciting to do the art too. So
that is awesome. Well, speaking of exciting art, should we take a look at it's the Pixi Mesmerist that we get to reveal for the first time today?
Yes. Oh, this is exciting.
All right. So let's see if this recording.
Well, actually, but before you put it up, should we explain what we're going to look at? Because the cards have a bit of a weird format, and I don't know if that's worth talking about before we show the art, or
sure. Yeah. Why don't you give us a summary?
Well, because I think, if I understand the way you're going to bring it up, we'll actually only be looking at half of the art.
That's right.
Every card in Deck of Wonders mirrors itself in an interesting way. So if you think about a king or a jack in a standard playing card deck, the image in the center there mirrors itself. And that same kind of concept runs through the Deck of Wonders cards. And there's a whole mechanical reason for that. There's a whole thematic reason for that. But that's kind of the construction.
And why don't I even bring up the art that I have queued up so that I don't see the preview yet, is the Pixi Cavalry.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and so this is an example of what you're talking about. It is one version of the art and then flipped on the literally upside down, so that if you're looking at the card with the other orientation, it is a slightly twisted version of the art, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And I have to say, this is about to, as a corgi dad, this is about to go on my phone screen too. This is, I love this.
Yeah, people
Mhm.
responded really well to this when it was posted online because I think a lot of people are pretty huge corgi fans, and the idea
Yes.
of riding one into battle is tantalizing. They're so cute but so fierce.
Absolutely. And this is Dennis was explaining to me, like, this is Pixie canon, right? And at least some versions of like Pixie lore that they actually use corgis as steeds.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they actually do.
It's the traditional folklore is that corgis are the official dog of the Pixies. And there's a whole reason why I won't go into the details now, but when a friend told me that, I was talking about, hey, I want a Pixie writing something. What do you think it should be? And then I laughed at him when he said corgi. And he looked at me, he's like, no, I'm dead serious. Like, this is a thing. You need to go check it out. And from that moment on, it couldn't be anything but a Pixie writing a corgi.
Oh, absolutely. And the moment I saw the prompt too, I got really excited and I was like, oh, I get to draw a corgi. This is fantastic.
Yes. Well, it is one of my favorite pieces of art that I've seen yet in card games ever. So I'm excited for what we have next. With that, one last chance to give any kind of lead into the Pixi Mesmerist, or should I bring it up?
Let's rip the Band-Aid. Do it.
All right, here we go. Oh, wow. All right.
Yes.
This is, and I've got it big on the screen next to me, which is why you can see me turning my head. This is a blast of color.
Yes, I really wanted to give it that blast of color because it's somebody who is really, you know, an illusionist, a performer. You should feel dazzled when you see the art. You should just like have that pop of color and that overwhelming, you know, this overstimulation of colors, but you're also drawn into it. You know, just like by her allure and by all the tricks that she's making, turning her flowers into butterflies and, you know, crafting illusions just for her captive audience. You know, but she hides something that's a little bit deeper and darker as well.
Oh, is that right? Is it time to switch over to the other half of the card, which we have queued up next?
Absolutely.
Ooh, okay. So she's not only got a darker expression and a darker costume, but she seems as concerned with money as as beautiful creatures. As far as what she is, I don't know if the money's an illusion or is what her illusions are fetching for her. I guess what is
Oh, it's the latter for sure. Yeah. So while she's distracting you and while she's dazzling you with her tricks, she's actually using her butterflies to take your money. So so that's really what is hidden behind. She's you know, she's got to look out for herself, and you know, she's going to do whatever it takes to get what she needs, and that is your money. So
I love it. The Pixi Mesmerist creating illusionary flower butterflies to pickpocket you as
right.
you pass through the forest.
Yes, that's exactly it. I really wanted this card to have that that narrative following. So when you flip it around, you see the continuation to that piece of art, and you see kind of what the progression is. And I like to call it the tame side and the wild side, and this is definitely the wild side of the card. So it was a ton of fun to create. And it was actually funny because I originally wasn't going to change the color of the outfit, but my roommate came by and she saw me doing the art, and she was just like, hey, like, oh, she's like, oh, is the outfit going to change too? Like when you flip it around? And I was like, it's actually
it is now.
And I want to it's fun to play a little bit of like a hidden picture hunt game with these with the ones I've seen. So I'm going to flip back and forth a little bit, and oops, if I click back over so that it happens properly, there we go.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Yeah, so it's darkened. We've got the money. Also, the background gets maybe it's just because perspective shifts a little bit. We got a little bit more of like an ominous kind of dark tree branches in the background there.
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah, the shift over makes a little bit more sense in the context of the actual card itself, because the art is flipped reverse of the top side too. So you will see the card graphics you know, cutting into this image, and yeah, but there's there's a lot of ominous. There's more purple in this one for sure. A real emphasis on kind of this dark and sinister jewel tones. Still mesmerizing,
Yes.
but you know, you can definitely sense the intent behind it.
Absolutely mesmerizing. That is for sure.
Yes.
I think next I have it on its cards to see the full kind of the context for what it will look like in Deck of Wonders. No, I lied. I had them side
There's
by
the side by,
side.
yeah, you were flipping back and forth. You got the side by
Right.
side. There we are.
Here we go. Yeah, so this is with the rules text and flavor text stripped out so we can focus on the art. This is what the Deck of Wonders card will look like. And I think next we have it flipped so that you can see when you're looking at it this way, this means you've played the Pixi Mesmerist, right? She's part of your tableau. She's on your side in this battle. And so you're looking at primarily you called it the tame side?
The tame side, yes.
The tame side, I like that. And then if the villain uses the Pixi Mesmerist against you, you'll be looking at this side.
Correct.
And you won't have any doubt that this is the villainous side either.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
Yes. And it's really cool. The flavor text is pulled off of this card. But part of what makes this card special is still on there. So on the player side, you'll see people can probably intuit the red heart is the character's health or the minion's health. The yellow POW sign is the attack value. But a unique statistic to Deck of Wonders cards is that center green number, which is called priority. And since this is a solo game and there's no other person on the other side to decide what to do, that priority number informs the villain AI. And way oversimplifying it, but essentially the villain is always going to target higher priority minions first. And in general, higher priority minions are always the bigger, badder, scarier ones, right? Which means you can put out a big minion, but it's going to attract attention, just like it would in playing against a real person. The power of the Pixi Mesmerist and kind of where the idea and the theme came from is Pixies on the scale of things are not very threatening. A 1/2 minion, there's not a lot of danger there. However, at 4 priority, it can get up in the face of another villain minion. And distract it and keep its attention away from other high priority minions that you want to protect. And so even though it's on a small body, just that high priority makes it a very powerful and versatile card. So that is the mechanical story that led into the whole idea behind this art.
And if I could back up a little bit and ask kind of for one more mechanical story, how did you even end up with kind of the cards having 2 sides and 2 versions of each? Remind me, do you call them creatures or minions?
Yeah, I've been saying minions. It's that weird point in the design phase where it's like, if people are more comfortable with creatures, maybe I go there. So who knows? Write in, get at me on social. What do you think it should be, creature or minion? I've been saying minion. So I knew I wanted it to be a solo game, and I had the idea of kind of coming out of the Deck of Many Things from D&D and those kind of settings, this incredibly powerful magical artifact that was a deck of cards that contained all these minions and spells, and the story kind of spirals out from there. And the idea that you had come into possession of this deck, of this artifact, and now everyone wants it for you, and everyone is vying for control of it from you. And so as cards and spells and minions are coming out, depending on where they're fated to show up, fate is kind of the deity that presides over this world. But if they're drawn on the villain turn, they come out one way. If they're drawn on your turn, they come out the other way. And I loved the idea of a game where both sides are drawing from the same deck. And so with that in mind, that led into the dual-sided nature. Obviously, the standard playing cards have this mirrored format. And I was like, well, what if that mirror meant something? And it all unfolded from there.
That's awesome. And what that means then is that the entire game uses one deck, right? Which for a solo game, what screams out as awesome about that to me is that I can bust it out on an airplane or compared to the other like living card games that I love, you have to have several decks, tokens, all this stuff, right? Like they're great solo games too, but they don't have that quick setup, that portability, kind of what I'm looking for in a solo game in quite the same way that this offers. So that's super awesome.
Yeah, and I will say it's once you've finished your deck construction that you can do that. So I was really faithful to the CCG kind of formula where you have a larger collection of cards, and way larger than you would need to build a single deck. And you're building from that based on the villain that you're facing. So there's quite a broad array of cards. You could probably fit it in a coat pocket still, but what you'll want to do is you'll want to pour through those cards, build your deck, and then just take that deck in a tuck box with you. And that actually that leads into something I realized only recently, I'm embarrassed to say, which is that a huge part of CCGs, at least for me, and I know for many others, is a very solo game in and of itself, which is pouring through your cards and just kind of mind gaming and building decks in your head and figuring out what you want to play. Like I guarantee you I've played decks in Hearthstone and other games where I've spent 6 hours constructing the thing and trying to figure out everything, and then you play it for 5 minutes and realize it's broken and it'll never but there's an inherently solo nature to CCGs on that side that just lends itself really well to this format.
Very cool. And then Lauren, I'd love to hear more about, so you ended up with a task of dozens, if not hundreds, of pieces of art.
Oh God, not hundreds yet.
All of which have, or just about all of which, with maybe some exceptions for the villains and things, have this duality and need you to come up with two versions, this tame side and this wild side. Like, how do you approach that, and how do you like mix up kind of the way that, like, I assume that not every card is a cool dark costume and money being stolen, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How do you approach capturing that in different ways?
Yeah, I do want to still give them a fun flair, even if I can't draw a dark costume or a cool curvy lady. But but the fortunate thing is that even before I begin any of the art for the cards, Dennis creates these really good prompts for me to follow. So I've worked with a lot of clients in the past, and sometimes people can over explain like what they want and like to the very tiniest details, and other people can just like really leave it wide open. I think Dennis has found a really good balance between the two of those things and giving me just enough detail to go off of. But like, so enough to guide me, but enough that I can infuse my own creative energy into it and really, go and play with my own art style. Which was a really cool thing about this project, was that in those prompts he would have references, and sometimes I would find my own portfolio pieces in those references, and so I'd be like, oh, perfect, he just wants it to look like this.
Oh wow, you know it's a good match when envisioning exactly what he wants his game to look like, he chose your art in the first place, right?
Something I've already done and enjoyed. It's perfect. So like having that as a starting point and having a brief description of like, here's the lore of this character, or here's the lore of this minion. Here's generally what it should convey. Here's some references that should give you the mood, if not visually, look something similar to that. And so I would be able to have that as a starting point and then figure out from there, okay, I want to have, for example, a creature that is a troll. And, from that, like, how do I convey two natures of the same troll? And so, like it would be something like that where I would figure out, like, is there any hidden imagery I want to put in there? Is there any Easter eggs that I want to put in there? How do I communicate the nature of this world in just, these two images and how they change from one to the other? So I was able to do that, throughout each one in kind of a different way. So this one is more, the Pixi Mesmerist is more of that dual image kind of thing where it works as two halves. And some of them are just like a narrative progression, even more so than this one is. And, and some of them are just like so integrated that they actually blend with each other. So there's there's a lot of different ways that I've, been able to tackle these images, but it's all been really enjoyable to kind of just explore those two things and see how I can be as creative as possible and create a compelling piece of art. So that the players like notice maybe new things each time they look at it, or like, oh, like I didn't realize that, like this coin actually has Colin's logo on it, which it does.
I was gonna give it away if you didn't. Yeah.
We can edit that out.
No, I was about to say, can I give away one of the Easter eggs? And that's exactly it. So on the wild side, the coins that she's stealing actually have the emblem of the villain, or one of the villains on them. And he's this spoiled prince of a woodland realm, named TBD. So I need to, well, his name is Cullen. The woodland realm needs a name. So I need some good woodland realm names. But anyway, so like she's stealing his money, or, that even in this wild side, there's almost like a Robin Hood and Prince John thing going on. If you know, you will probably have been staring at that logo in 1,000 different places before you come across it here.
Right.
But you might also stare at this card 1,000 times before realizing it's there, which
Yep.
I love that every piece of artwork has something like that.
That is incredible. I love that too. Anytime
great
the 10th time I play a card, I can be like, oh my God, I've never noticed that.
Yes.
It's a really fun experience.
Yeah, that's always the most exciting thing about playing card games for me. It's just like looking at the art over and over again and like, wait, like looking at it closely for once. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, actually, it's the same creature as it was over here. And like, you just
Right.
between all the cards and you're just like, oh, like this is definitely how all happening in the same universe. And that's really what I wanted to have you feel in the art, is that it's all happening within the same realm in the same place, but all these different circumstances are coming together and, you know, helping your journey through defeating that villain.
Awesome.
Can I give away another one?
Oh, please.
Yeah, so it's more evident on other Pixi cards, but if you look at her hair, Pixies, their history comes from the clouds. You know, their kingdoms are in the sky, and their hair is actually all very, very cloud-like, and actually has that
right.
to it, which one is just really cool and fun to play with, and then two just works really well for the way Lauren designed the characters.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually hadn't processed that was like,
yeah, her hair is
down her head and her shoulders.
Yeah, her hair is tied back, but her puff is coming out from underneath it. But it's a lot more evident in the Pixi Cavalry, which another intentional thing that I had done in the Pixi Cavalry, her hair is actually stormy and you know, just like she's like ready for battle. But
we can take a look at that again. There we go.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
I think this is Wild Side Up.
Yeah, Wild Side Up, which is perfect. And so you can see that progression from like the nice, like, you know, white cloudy hair to the stormy hair. And then, but for the Pixi Mesmerist, her hair isn't changing because stealing from people is just child's play to her. She doesn't need to have a state change in order to do it. So it was definitely
Love it. And on that subject of, you mentioned just how fun it's been to kind of get to create a cohesive world in your cards. Dennis has mentioned how much he loves that you have a little bit of a different take, or kind of a mission to have a little bit of a different view on what fantasy usually looks like, or looks like in a lot of common presentations. Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, as a person who's just like been inundated in media for my entire life, it's really rare where I actually see people who look like me. And you know, like that representation to me, like into so many other people, really does matter, because it makes you feel like not only can you be a part of this world, but you can also create things for this world if you're a creative person. And so what one of my biggest missions is to just make sure that whatever I'm creating has that representation and, you know, represents different people who look like you, even if they are, you know, pixies or elves or, you know, anything like that. You know, I just drew a tiefling the other day that was just like a black coated tiefling, because I was just like, you know, I really never get to see tieflings that have any, you know, any features that look like mine, even though this is a whole fantasy world. You can make anything be possible. And I know a lot of these are based off of European fantasy, but it's ultimately fantasy. It's in different realms and different universes. And so there's no reason why these people can't look like me. There's no reason why they can't have curly hair or dreadlocks or, you know, just like, or dark skin with the actual, like, you know, proper features and everything. And so that's a big part of my mission, is to definitely, you know, be able to infuse more color, as they say, into my characters and, you know, just get more of that representation in there. And it's also just like really fun because then I get to, you know, use my own face as reference, which is, you know, very Leo thing to do.
Are these all foreign?
No, like I don't actually do that, but it is a really important mission of mine to be able to do that. And so I'm really glad that, you know, Dennis has been completely like 100% like wanted that and receptive to that and really excited to see it. So
I have to share this story. I think that, like, from the beginning, that's been in my mind for the game, but I don't think I quite knew how to write that in a brief. As good as our briefs has been, there's nothing in there that's like, I come from the corporate world, and all the time you'll see like mix of races in the casting calls and stuff. And it feels very ham-handed.
Like, whatever that means.
Yeah. So it was like I said, it was intended. And then Lauren, I forget what the conversation was, but I think we were talking about one of the villains, so some to be revealed. And she's like, just so you know, she's a black woman, she's gonna look like this. And I was like, yeah, that was in my head. But Lauren was like, she'd already made the decision. I had no say left in it.
Yeah.
And she was inspired, she was going. And I was here for it. But I appreciate that tenacity, and I like just the response we've seen, even from the limited art that we have done, has just been incredible. Like it's blown my mind. And just seeing how much I think there's a thirst for this out there.
Definitely.
And people want to see fantasy represented in this way, and in all of its creativity. And that's been a really, really cool thing to just be party to.
For sure.
That's phenomenal, and I'm count me among them. It's really refreshing to see. And it's clear that you two are on just really on the same wavelength, which I think is going to lead to just a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it's been a really cool collaborative process, just because I have zero design talent whatsoever. And like well, I've evolved as I've gone out of necessity, but even just the vocabulary for design isn't really there. And so taking something that I'm incredibly passionate about and is so dear to me, and the idea for this game, and handing it over to Lauren and being like you need to help take control of this, or you need to help develop this, because I literally can't, is a very vulnerable place to be. But every time I've leaned into that, it has returned results. I mean, you're seeing it on the screen, just tenfold from anything I ever could have imagined. And so many like great little stories or Easter eggs or elements just come out of the bounce back between us, coming from two different perspectives. And it's something you always know in your head, adds so much value. And then to see it show up on the cards again and again and again, just really translates that into heart knowledge as well. Which is, it's just been really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And it's just gorgeous. You've been able to see, as I have my big screen to the side, my eyes drawn throughout this conversation. Yeah. So Deck of Wonders is coming to Kickstarter next month in August. Do you have anything else you can share about
this is
the Kickstarter?
Depending on when this goes up, I don't know if the number will be out there. This will probably be the first place some people are hearing, but this is coming to Kickstarter on August 25th.
August 25th.
So launching Tuesday, August 25th. Mount your calendars. Mark your calendars. Clearly, I'm excited. And it'll be out there then. So there'll be kind of a launch party and all that stuff. More details to come. But this is the first time I'm saying it in a public, definitive way. Is August 25th.
August 25th.
When this is coming to Kickstarter. Yes.
That's extremely exciting. I can't wait. And yeah, I guess thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited for Deck of Wonders, and I will be one of your first backers for sure.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a pleasure. It's fun to hang out.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I guess before we go, any final words, Lauren? Anything else you want to add before we call it a night?
Oh goodness, why you gotta put me on the spot?
Put you on the spot.
I'll give you an alley-oop. I recently got to join a Patreon that you've started. And it's been absolutely amazing. You mentioned a piece of art that came out there first earlier in this video.
Yes, it was an early access piece which showed the tiefling I was talking about. But yes, if you like the art that I've done for these cards and you want to support more of my art, my username for basically everywhere on social media is LAB Illustration, Lab Illustration, my initials. And I have a Patreon that I just started that I'm really excited about. So I share coloring pages, tutorials, tips, early access art, exclusive art content. And so if you are interested in any of that, please check it out. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Etsy, anywhere under Lab Illustration is where you can find me.
That's fantastic. I'll be checking you out. I just learned about your Patreon at this moment. So I'm thrilled to hear that. We'll make sure to have links to that and to both of your social media, the site for the Deck of Wonders, and if you're watching this when the Kickstarter is already live, the Kickstarter itself, all in the description of this video too. So you can just scroll down there and give those a look.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for watching if you've been with us through this. And keep an eye out for, I think we'll have some more Deck of Wonders content on Optimal Play in the future, and we're all looking forward to the Kickstarter. So Dennis Furia, Lauren Brown, thank you very much.
Thank you
We'll
so much.
wrap it here. So have a great night. Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And there you have it. I had a blast. That was so much fun talking to Dennis and Lauren. If you enjoyed it too, we would love if you would like this video, subscribe to Optimal Play, check out our other videos, and tell your friends. Those are the best ways to help us out, to help us grow. We would really appreciate it. With that said, thank you again for watching, and until next time, be optimal.